Hello, it's Helen from Journal with Purpose, and today I'm going to share a flip through with you of my last completed junk journal. It's roughly A5 size, and this one I created using cardstock from my last product range launch, and I then decorated it with stamping, stickers and washi tape. And I used all sorts of different pieces of paper. This is the first junk journal that I'd made myself. And I did all of this one off camera because I just wanted to check that it worked okay. But I really like being able to use different pens. I look at the background and think about what's going to work well for me and which part of the page I still want to keep intact and be able to see. And I tear up pieces of paper. This is from an old shopping list, and any scraps of paper that I've got, and just sort of place them. That was over some text because I still wanted the images there. And this is a postcard from London Gifties, so I've tipped that in with washi tape, so I've got plenty of place to write on the back. And I also use things like tipping cards. This one's from the Project Life range, and stick that in the side, and any notes that I've received. And I tend to use this journal to write more of my personal thoughts and feelings. You see I've got lots of vintage papers and map pages as well, and I really love all of those kind of different looks and textures as you flip through the journal. Again there, another Project Life card tipped into the edge. Sometimes I'll tip them on the edge of the piece of paper and sometimes right in the spine. And I love putting in any little notes which comes with packages. This was from my birthday present that my mum gave me, and she left the card in that was signed by the artist. And I really like knowing all of these things are safely secured in my journal. Again, more postcards from London Gifties. Christine kindly sent me lots of these, and they're great for putting in happy mail, but I also love using them inside my junk journal. Little thank you notes there. This is from Minnie Small's Patreon, so I've got a few of her art prints and stickers, and I use those in here too. And I love old pieces of music paper, and it's great still being able to see the outside of that with all of my writing in the middle. And I've got old postage stamps, and it's such a great way of using up stickers and odds and ends. Maybe when you've got like a few left on the end of a sheet and you're not quite sure what to do with them, a junk journal is brilliant for that. Again, any notes that I've received, thank you cards. It's just a really lovely way of being able to secure them. And sometimes I'll put in strips of wrapping paper from any gifts that I receive, and just put a few little scraps of that in the journal itself. And this journal's held up pretty well, thankfully, as it's the first one that I did. This is the centre, and I only had some normal sewing thread at the time, but I did lots of layers and it still held all of the pages together really well. And sometimes I'll add lots of decoration, and sometimes hardly any at all. I'll just see how much time I've got in that evening. Here I did some paint swatches and doodles. And again, more art prints from Minnie Small. And lots of those stickers actually came with her Patreon reward that month as well. And it's a nice little secret place for me to keep those private notes. I don't tend to share the pages of this on Instagram at all. It's just somewhere that I can write freely and know that I've been able to get kind of all of those thoughts out of my head. And I had some questions on my last video about making a junk journal, asking how I use them. So I'm hoping this helps to give a good idea. The backgrounds are often really busy, but there's always ways of being able to create writing spots by putting torn paper or putting tipping cards in there, or pockets and tags. There's lots of fun ways to be able to still add your writing to this kind of journal. And I think it's a really freeing way to create and write because there's definitely no rules. You can just look at each page and think about what feels right for you to add to it. So I hope you've liked seeing the flip through of this completed junk journal. And this is the one that I created in my last video, and I've started decorating the cover because I want to use this one more as an art journal, somewhere for mixed media pieces. So I started off with this by putting down a rectangle of gesso and then adding lots of watercolour all over that. And then you can see I added my flower sketches and then added another layer of gesso around the outside. I didn't know whether to add the white, but I asked the question on my Instagram stories and people said, yeah, go for it. And I'm really happy with how that's looking, so I'll probably do something similar on the back. But I'm really looking forward to using all of these different pages to see what kind of effects I can create on top of them with acrylic paint, stenciling, gesso, watercolours, and so it'll probably have a completely different look and feel to it, to this junk journal. But I hope that's given you some ideas for your own. I really hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, it would be great if you'd leave it with a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, I would love it if you would consider subscribing. If you've got any questions or comments, then please do leave them down below. And I look forward to speaking to you really soon in the next one.